GSC Invitational, Play-ins Round 1 Gold Bracket. This is Deezcastforms versus Zerkas. Ready? Let's get in. Jinx lead versus Zapdos. Well, that's ideal. Jinx is most likely just going to throw off a sleep move, but they could just Ice Beam here because Zapdos might just stay in and do that Thunder. Thunder does 2-hit KO Jinx. However, Zapdos looks like it's getting mostly healthy because Thief is the one that goes into Zapdos, ideally targeting Lax or Coup there. Jinx does not Thief Zapdos that often. Zerkas insisting on staying in and thundering indicates he either really values the chip on this Jinx or he really doesn't want to have his Lax Sleep absorb. However, you miss 2 thunders. Deezcastforms makes a good play and knows Zapdos won't stay in, and Lovely Kisses the Lax, except it misses. Does he stay in again and go for the Lovely Kiss? He does not. Instead, he elects to try and get spikes up with his Cloyster. Very possible this Zapdos comes in on those spikes, and oh no, alright. Snorlax just electing to claim chip on this Cloyster rather than Zerkas trying to heal up the Zapdos. Lick's coming in here, absorbing Double Edge very well. Interesting that Lick's Jinx. Zap coming in for free. Roars into Cloyster, which is your least ideal. It's very likely that Deezcastforms is going to just go to his electric type now as Zerkas spikes. Gengar works similarly, but it does reveal that you have a Gengar. Dynamic Punches into the Lax. Dynamic Punch, always a scary move to click on both ends, but fairly riskless there. That Cloyster isn't staying in. Overpredicts a bit there. And Deezcastforms successfully pulls off a pivot between Zap and Licks. This team is looking a little interesting. Looks like still fine. Just not as often that we see Licks, Jinx, Gengar. Tyranitar notably not having Fire Blast here, EQing into the Licks, trying to claim his chip on that. This team is very, very scared of EQ Lax right now. Curse EQ Lax, with this Licks getting really low. However, opposing Lax could be very scary now that this Tar has been significantly chipped. Goes out to Zapdos and Snorlax. Snorlax on EQ doesn't take too much, but there's a lot of scary things Tyranitar can do to Snorlax, especially if it's D-Punch or Screech, though Screech is probably less scary in this scenario. Zapdos does elect to rest. Does Snorlax just take a curse? No, it takes Double Edge, doing a lot of damage to the Zapdos, which Zapdos will not be healing off. Oh, cool. Yeah, Double Rock. Double Rock's quite a lot of fun. Makes a lot more sense with the Tar playing very aggressive. Though on double normal resist stuff, Tar really likes running Fire Blast. Interesting that it doesn't have it. I'm wondering if it is actually Screech Tar, or if it has D-Punch, or there's going to be something interesting about it. So Golem does get the spin just straight into Lax. Says, yeah, you're not switching Gar into this guy. And then he stays into EQ, either to just deal damage to the Lax, not let it just keep clicking buttons for free, maybe chunk Cloyster as it comes in. Either of those are fine alternatives. But he catches the Jinx as it comes in, does a lot. However, this Jinx does get to click a sleep move here into the Lax. Is it Nightmare? Well, we don't know. Cloyster does get to come in here. It is Sleep Talk Lax. Interesting that Zapdos was so aggressive against the Jinx because there was a Sleep Talk Lax. Cloyster is able to get its spikes up, but it is not looking too healthy. It does die to any attack on the switch in. Zapdos sleep talking away, and the overpredict from Deezcastforms EQing into the Zapdos, trying to catch a Golem or Tar, but Zerkas takes the middle ground. Unfortunately, gets critted for his troubles. and just elects to surf. Not toxic. Interesting. They're likely wanting to catch a Gengar, potentially switching in. Golem does pivot into Thunder, but it is within range for HP Ice. Switching out to the Sleeping Snorlax on the HP Ice. Well done. Unfortunately, again, getting crit for his troubles. Snorlax taking a hefty amount, but it is out of 2-hit KO range. Never mind, it is very much in 2-hit KO range. It would have been in KO, it would have been in range to be killed by Thunder because of talking that double edge. Oh, this team is very well prepared against Jinx. Starmie and Sleep Dog Snorlax, and a Tyranitar, you're fine against Jinx. Likely a Nightmare Starmie. Interesting that it doesn't sub here. It elects to take a massive chunk of damage. However, you can just recover that off. Recover on Gengar? Interesting. This Starmie could just kind of sub in Gengar's face and say, prove it to me you have T-Bolt. Elects to sack the Lax instead of pivoting through something. That's fair. Sleep Talk Zapdos does really scare just everything on Deezcastforms team. If it Sleep Talks Thunder, this Lax can just die. However, it Sleep Talks Rest, and the Snorlax goes for its own rest. Now it's healthy. This is very much flipped the dynamics here. Zerkas electing to stay in and Thunder crit the Lax. Thunders again, misses. And Lax Sleep Talk Double Edge. Lax will be left very low if Zap stays in on Thunders, but it elects not to. Lax is very likely going to rest here. Oh, interesting. Starmie might have maybe swept. Could maybe sweep if this Lax gets low. So it's interesting that he didn't choose that turn to rest, that he could have taken it. Oh, that's a brutal Sleep Talk roll. But, however, this Tar is in, and it is rather scary. It has EQ, which hits everything on this team, and just nukes everything except the Snorlax, and maybe has Deep Punch. I was right! It does have Deep Punch, because paired with Golem, you're not using this Tar for roaring. It's just a Sleep Talk Double Edge, though. It is within range for another Deep Punch plus Confusion tick. Elects to go for an Earthquake, which does now 2-hit KOs Licks. Licks drops. Okay, stays in. Is he going to something like Jinx? And he goes to Cloy. That makes way more sense than Jinx. I don't know why I suggested Jinx. Cloy here could just boom. You could surf and say, hey, I'll take the lefties. I'll be out of range of spikes. Zerkas' Cloyster is a middle ground. It takes, it's fine to sack to boom. It's not as important to Starmie or Zapdos for cleaning up. And staying alive versus this Gengar. And if it surfs, then you get to flip the same thing on him, as you can just start clicking surf with your Cloyster. And he's forced to switch into that, which he really doesn't love. Zapdos on Gengar. It is just going to be a Sleep Talk turn. Rest or Thunder is pretty good here, unless it's a Thunder miss. You want to get this Gengar in range for Starmie to sweep. It is going to be a Nightmare Starmie. Not electing to stay in and risk the Gengar's health. Lax coming in, and because it was a Sleep Talk HP, it is out of range of Thunder. If it was Sleep Talk Thunder, it would have been in range. Now the Snorlax elects to go for a rest. Scary position for Zerkas. Really hoping a Sleep Talk rest pulls here, but Sleep Talk Double Edge. Still fine. Does Gengar try and pivot into a Dynamic Punch? I think that's unlikely. I think Deezcastforms says, I'm favored if I click Sleep Talk. You have to, even hit D-Punch before you're actually, scaring me. Prove to me you can hit D-Punch. And Zerkas over-predicts. It's not a coin flip, it's a weighted coin flip. And it's heavily weighted on the side of Snorlax staying in. However, if he Sleep Talks rest here, you get bailed. And he stays and he EQs again, refusing to click the Dynamic Punch, and loses his Tyranitar for it. This Lax is going to stay in. It is way more likely that you miss D-Punch. Or just, Lax gets to chop you up with D-Punch. However, Sub not pulling the right move. Looks like this Starmie might be in trouble. A lax crit here would be devastating. I'm going to speed it up to fast here. It's going to be a lot of recover and double edge for the foreseeable future. Oh, a Gengar coming in. So this is an interesting position. You don't really want to T-Bolt into Zapdos. You definitely don't want to Ice Punch Starmie. I think T-Bolt is probably just the best middle ground here. Starmie stays in on Surf. To Surf, and Gengar takes it very well. Goes to Zapdos. Does just click the straight up T-Bolt. However, this Gengar doesn't want to take those Thunders, but you still have this healthy Lax. We're going to see a majorly important Thunder miss, though. A second Thunder miss. It's brutal. Based on the way the Zerkas is playing this, I'm thinking he's going to rest this turn, and he does. He's going to leave it up to Sleep Talk. Snorlax is just going to continue double edging, though. Snorlax is getting chipped down more than Lefty's recovers. Each turn, it clicks double edge, though. Zapdos happily to take a Sleep Talk rest. The thing you're really looking for here is the Sleep Talk rest or Sleep Talk Thunder hits. That's the worst case scenario, though. Now you're really praying for a Sleep Talk arrest, which he pulls. This Lax is slowly getting chipped down, and it is running out of double edges. It's still in a very fine category of like how many power points it has left. This Zapdos really wants to stay alive, but notably only 4 Sleep Talks remaining. It can't keep this up forever. And this Lax is not getting chipped down very quickly. There's his Sleep Talk HP. Not ideal. You have one more Sleep Talk to pull rest, otherwise this Zapdos is going down. Pulls HP, but does get a consolation crit. This Snorlax is not in a happy spot, but however, Starmie might. So okay, there's a case to be made here for Starmie subbing, being like, you're gonna rest on Lax. You can't just keep double edging into me as I recover because you'll get chipped down too low. And however, it's really awkward if you rest on its sub because then it nightmares you, and then it's in business, depending on Sleep Talk rolls. Starmie does elect to go for recover, and Snorlax stays in to get a double-edge crit. Wow. Okay. So that's game 1. That was game 1, guys. Here's game 2. Snorlax on Jinx, swapping. The Jinx leads. Interesting. Wait. Yes, Zerkas is on top. Ice Beam, not Nightmare. Lax wakes up on the Sleep Talk. Really awkward when that happens. Lovely Kiss hits again, though. We know it's some kind of Sleep Talk. Lax does take the Thief. Interesting that he took so long to Thief. He didn't Lovely Kiss, then Thief. He Lovely Kiss, then Ice Beam. Now he's going to switch away. Oh, that's really awkward. However, this does mean that Jinx has Sleep Pressure again. Oh, showing Curse, meaning this is a Mono Lax. Higher probability, high probability of any Tyranitar being shown to be Pursuit. This Lax can just keep cursing here. Unless Zerkas has a Gengar. Good, it does. This could be a very sticky situation, but he does have a Gengar. He's just going to start T-Bolting. Lax is going to stay in, decide to burn his Sleep turns. Does he Sleep Talk on this turn? No, he just switches to Tyranitar. Is it a Surf Tyranitar? Highly unlikely. It's way more likely to be Crunch. However, Gengar gets out of there knowing there's a high probability of a Pursuit Tyranitar. Golem is going to scare out the Tar here, but it invites Deezcastforms' own Cloyster into Spike. Good play. Tyranitar is likely not going to click Rock Slide there, and it covers for Cloyster coming in. Goes to the Monolax. Still a very good check against Electrics, even without leftovers. Double edges into Golem, does a minute amount. Do they pull the same line again of going to Zapdos? No. They would have let Chloe come in for some EQ chip. However, Zapdos gets in, scares the Golem out potentially because you don't want to take chip on the Golem, but maybe it does just stay in. It could very well do that. I don't see a boom coming here because you really do want to be able to alleviate Spike's pressure later into the game. Jinx coming in. threatening sleep. However, yeah, so, or even just psychics. You could just psychic into this Snorlax, but it's very possible that Tyranitar comes in here and then tries to pivot through Zapdos. Oh, you might even just go Zapdos here straight, because Zapdos, it jinxes in Thunder range. Nope, chooses to go Snorlax. If it attacks here, yeah, you're in a sticky spot. However, you do get to rest here. Electing not to, even though you have burned your sleep turns, to go to Tyranitar takes an Ice Beam for your trouble, and Jinx is still pressuring with sleep. This is really awkward. I don't know why you didn't just stay in and claim your rest turn. Sure, Golem could come in, just get a Rapid Spit off, but now you've got a healthy Snorlax, and this Jinx is no longer a menacing threat. Like, what it's doing here, it doesn't get to just claim your Tyranitar for free. I'm really not a fan of that move that Deezcastforms pulled. At least, he saves it for death fodder, but even then, you, like, this Cloyster, stay again to take the Psychic, you booming. This, yeah, no, this was a way messier position than it needed to be. Could have just been the Snorlax to take a very, very safe route into it and not get so far behind this game. However, that Thunder Para does put you in a pretty good spot. Snorlax on HP, Snorlax on Thunder, Snorlax on HP. Electing to go for the 2-hit KO on the Zapdos rather than just chunking it. Golem comes in, and it could just Rapid Spin here. Do we see the Gengar pivot in? I think that's unlikely, because the Cloyster is untoxic. So, yeah, Cloy just gets to come in here, because, like, what are you going to do against Cloy? Okay, you're going to get your Lax healed up. Great. Golem gets to come in. It gets to spin. You lost your Cloyster because of your misplay against the Jinx. So you're going to lose Spikes now. Awkward, crazy awkward going to Golem on Golem. That's not a fun spot to be in. Yeah, you're staying, like, Zerkas' Golem electing to stay in EQ because, like, your Tar is gone, essentially. So, Gengar forever walls the Snorlax. Golem electing to get Chip on the other one. Zerkas probably just going his Zapdos here for free. Goes to Cloyster, that works too. Cloyster's probably better, but Deezcastforms, knowing that he probably will go to Cloyster, gets the good double. However, it's gonna be hard to really make progress here. Golem coming in on the lucky para. That could have just been a double edge that drops the Golem. Rapid Spin, okay. Cloy gets to click Spikes here. Okay. You get a Thunder on Lax. Doubles to Machamp. This could be scary if it has something that can hit Gengar. Zap is para'd. This might actually still be a game. Does Machamp curse here? It does. Alright, Gengar, let's see what you got. Do you have D-Bond? You don't. Machamp choosing to curse again. This does scout D-Bond. Just T-bolting away, EQ. HP Ghost, dropping Gengar. Golem. Okay, Deezcastforms lets the Golem boom on Machamp. This is still a game then. Zapdos is scary here, but not really. Golem does boom and claim something, though. You're electing not to claim the boom kill yet. You're maybe trying to chip Cloy down, because it doesn't quite kill Cloy. Oh, Cloy just gets its boom on Lax, and there. This is just over. This is probably over. No, wait, I don't actually... Okay. I'm not a fan of this boom. I get it. If this Lax sets up, you're screwed. I understand it, but I don't think... Like, that's a high roll. Cloyster Boom very rarely kills Lax here. I think you're putting a significant amount of risk here. Like, you're in... I think you really try and chip Lax and then boom. I don't know. I'm not the hugest fan of taking that chance. But if he did get rewarded for it, and now he's in a much better position because you don't have a super scary Lax. However, this Golem does claim a kill as soon as it booms. So if Zapdos can get this Snorlax really low, like it is doing right now, if there's a para, nope, okay. And missing Thunder. Zerkas is heavily favored here. It's Sleep Talk. Like, it's very high odds for Zerkas to win here. Yeah, he's going to double edge the Zapdos down. He should probably be resting here. Yeah, playing it safe. Golem does come in saying, okay, I'll boom. But, like, if Golem booms here, you should probably be, like, roaring to get leftovers. Because if Golem booms here, Lax just wins. Because if Golem booms on Zap, yeah, this is over. This is just over. You're praying for Thunder crits. This is just over. Straight up. Like, you're going to run out of Thunders before this Lax runs out of Sleep Talks. Realistically. Sleep Talk, 7 Thunders. Playing it conservatively. This is slowly breaking down the Zapdos. However, it's not 3 Sleep Talks. This is over. This is Lax versus Zapdos. This 1v1 is only ever decided by crits. In favor of the Zapdos, if Zapdos is gonna win. Like, yeah. So it probably maybe pissed you off that I was skipping turns there, but because I knew there was a game 3, I really, really wanted to just jump into it. Tyranitar lead on Zapdos catches one of the matchups it likes. However, Tyranitar lead often carries Fire Blast for stuff like Steelix and Flurry. This could just be a Fire Blast. Zerkas scouting it. It's Flamethrower. Why did you ever run Flamethrower? Oh, I hate Flamethrower Tyranitar. It just doesn't even out damage like Giga Drain from Eggy. It's depressing. Its damage rolls are sad. However, revealing Vappy early. Its Bind Licks. Really, really fishing for a Zapdos or a Snorlax there. I am not a fan at all of revealing Bind there. Like, I really don't like that. We're gonna go back from the beginning. So okay, so yeah, Vappy's like I don't like growth either there because he's probably just going to Zapper. Like I think you just surf there or even just switch. So you're binding on Zapdos. I get it. You really want to remove Zapdos. And bind is a way to guarantee that you're booming into Zapdos. If you hit bind on Zapdos, it's a non-committal way of saying I'll bind, and if I'll see what I bind, and then I'll boom. I don't have to predict if they'll switch on the turn I boom. However, like, the Cloy switch is screamingly obvious here. So you're revealing bind into Cloy for, like, essentially no damage. He doesn't... Okay, apparently Deezcastforms doesn't know what Bind Steelix does. Because Bind Steelix is actually a thing. Yep, Spike, Toxic on the Cloy, switching out to Gengar to prevent his own Cloy from getting Toxic. Impactful if Zerkas does have a Gengar in the back. Not a Gengar, a Golem in the back. I'm sorry, what? Why are you booming Cloy here? This is an insanely aggressive boom. You're fishing for Zapdos here. It's blatantly obvious that you're fishing for Zapdos switch in here, but you've already revealed Vaporeon. So these Castforms should know that he should preserve his Zapdos. And he's got a, like, he has a high probability of even having a Gengar here. You could just stay in and surf his Cloy. I am not a fan of this boom here at all. Ha! Estuardo. Putting the what Bindlix does in the chat. I am definitely not a fan of this preemptive boom. It doesn't work into multiple of these Castforms safe lines. You're fishing for Zapdos and you didn't get it, and like you got majorly punished for that. You could have just switched to your own Zapdos and been fine. I don't like that boom. Zapdos thundering in on Lax. Getting some chip. Lax not electing to rest here, which is fine. It is barely out of range. However, it's still a scary spot where if you got crit or thunder full parrot, low odds to lose your Lax there, but maybe worth it, maybe not worth it for the 30% chip on the Lax. Good sleep talk roll though. Yeah, I don't know how Vappy's doing anything against Deezcastforms team. We're looking at not Borat actually. Oh, Okay. That's funny. Okay. They are booming very happily into Gengars. It is Crunch. Interesting. It's lead Crunch Tyranitar. I mean, like, I understand it for stuff like Eggy. I guess it makes Flamethrower more justifiable, but I'd rather run Fire Blast and Earthquake. Like, the only thing that Fire Blast, Earthquake, Rock Slide isn't hitting as strongly as Crunch is, I guess Crunch, I think, does slightly more damage to Cloyster. I forget. It's comparable to Rock Slide, but it's, like, messy. Interesting. Crunch is a nice middle ground to just click in general, though. A lot of things that like switching into Tart, excepting Snorlax, don't love taking Crunch. Like Golems actually get chipped pretty significantly by it. Cloy doesn't like it at all, even though Cloy doesn't like switching into Rock Slide. But Gengar coming in here on the Vaporeon, I'm not the biggest fan of that. I don't like that play at all. I don't like risking your Gengar like that at all. I get it, trying to Hypnosis being like, oh yeah, you'll respect my boom and switch into Gengar. I don't love clicking Hypnosis like that with it. That may sound hypocritical because I did something very similar to that in my game, but I didn't really have a choice. However, you have a very, very lovely choice called switching to a full health, non-sleeping Zapdos that also kinda scares Zerkas' team because you have spikes up. But you got bailed for it. You hit the 60%. Okay, Snorlax on Zapdos. Not a fun spot to be in. Do you go to Tyranitar? It is Licks. I do quite enjoy Licks stuff. It's probably just going to see a Curse or a Roar here. EQ does a hefty chunk to the Licks, and it just gets roared out. Here's the Bind Licks. Great. Bind Licks actually is kind of scary here now that you preemptively boomed your Cloyster. That's one of the, that's another reason why I don't love Deezcastforms booming his Cloy now, because, Licks gets to click buttons now. Because it gets to bind and boom on Lax or Zap, and it gets to EQ the rest of your team. However, knowing that it's very important to preserve health on the Licks, switches out of Steelix, because Deezcastforms doesn't really need the health on Steelix. He's fine, probably, like, his Tyranitar if it has Screech, or, more likely, Dynamic Punch, or even, I guess it could be Roar, then it's, yeah, you're fine into Lax if your Steelix takes some chip. EQ's into Zapdos, though. Likely an HP Ice Zapdos, because it is Curse EQ, Lax, and otherwise this team is kind of shredded by Eggy. You really don't want to be running into Eggy if you're HP Water or Zapdos on this team. However, Licks does get in. Bind means you're dropping Curse or Roar. More likely dropping Curse on this team? Because you have nothing else that phases. Alright. Just clicks EQ predicting Steelix, Gengar, or Tyranitar, or even just a Lax stay in. But even if Lax stays in and EQs you, you probably want to bind. Actually, if Lax stays in and EQs, you're in a super awkward position with speed ties and whatnot. If Lax stays in, you're booming, not binding. Okay, Deezcastform pivots, says, haha, you're not gonna bind my Zapdos, EQ me. Aha, you're not gonna EQ my Zapdos, bind me. I'm a Tyranitar with Flamethrower, get scared. Yep, Vappy is a very safe response to this Tyranitar. I suppose it could be Nightmare Tyranitar. That wouldn't be unreasonable. Sleep Talk Surf into the Zapdos. This Zapdos is still heartily checked by Licks and Lax. Steelix does get in. This Vappy really does what this Zapdos said. Does he click bind? No, he doesn't. Oh, and the crit HP. Okay. Zerkas is not telling us in the chat what he clicked there, but the aw shucks probably means... Oh, he did boom. Nice, what a guy. The boom was pretty obvious there, but Deezcastforms, it's not easy to click a Gengar switch into a Steelix who's been haphazardly clicking EQ left, right, and center. Lix is going to survive the next EQ. You could even just boom here. Yep, takes a ton of chip on the Zapdos. Deezcastforms is now in a really good spot. This EQ lax could have just won the game. However, with this massive amount of chip on it and it's just going down, it's probably over for Zerkas. Gengar is going to have to do some major work. Zapdos missing. Yeah, this is probably Deezcastforms' game. Thunders the lax. Paralyzes it. Alright. We're going to see another Lax on Zapdos stalemate. Good stuff. Toasty tasty. Vappy switching in there. That's janky. That's sketchy. I'm not the biggest fan of that. You don't even want to be taking sleep talk EQs. And you're still asleep. Like, I don't like that. Now you're just giving the Gengar hypno pressure. Oh, yep. Oh, Zerkas forgot he was hypnoed. Oh, okay. Well, Deezcastforms has won his first play-in match. Thank you for watching.